My son had his first ever school function, meant to be able to demonstrate what he's learned, to allow the parents to fraternize with each other. We were uninvited hours before the event began. It was a vaccine-only event. Second-class citizen, anyone? Get to the back of the bus, Rosa Parks. Did you know that the Germans, our old favorites, are banning the unvaccinated from leaving their homes? Why make it tough on your authorities? Simplify. Force the disease to affix a gold star to your sleeve in order to properly identify yourself. You figure they might have learned something from their sordid history. Oh yeah, plus the Germans will be mandating and forcing vaccines nationwide. Papers, please. Or, as Arnold would say,
screw your freedom.
And now you have Australia forcibly quarantining people who don't even have COVID. Literally taking people to a highly infectious zone on suspicion that they interacted with somebody known to have the disease. That's like witnessing me near a cobra, worrying that I might have been bitten, and forcibly imprisoning me in an Indiana Jones-like pit full of snakes. You have the Australians setting up checkpoints for those who might have absconded, aka escaped. Police going door to door to warn people who might have been considering protesting to arrest them if they've done so.
Screw your freedom.
Can anybody else see the police state that they are creating? That it's just a turnkey authoritarian state that they can turn on at any time as they slowly chip away at your rights. And for what? Hey, look, COVID is serious, but there are certain markers that we can definitely predict as to who is going to suffer most greatly from contracting the disease. But instead of telling you to eat real food, to get into shape and lose some weight, to step out into the sunlight so that your body, being the miracle that it is, can produce vitamin D, which helps, according to medicine, alleviate the effects of this dreaded disease. Instead, they put their focus on forcing the vaccine into you. How much money is being made by Pfizer? How many billions of your taxpayer dollars are being funneled into their corporate coffers? And how are they achieving this? Via the use of fear. If you make somebody scared enough, you can leverage that to get them to do virtually anything. So now our son's private school is banning us from an event for the social sin of being unvaxxed. Our little boy was excited to demonstrate to us what he's learned, what he's created and done. And what are we to tell him? How can we explain to him that hours before we were set to go that we are unable to? Because we're second-class citizens? Because we are deemed unclean by polite society? Because we must first acquiesce to their authoritarian demands in order to attend what we have equally paid for with the other parents. Don't come into our pristine event with your gold stars, you diseased Jews. Literally, this is the equivalent of being black in the Jim Crow South. Discriminated against. Second class. And it's ramping up around the world. Once they can quarantine you for allegedly interacting with somebody who has a disease, what's to prevent them for using the same apparatus to imprison you for interacting with somebody with impure political beliefs, for having interacted with a deplorable? Think that this is hyperbole? Think that I'm making this up? Remember when Joe Biden and Jen Psaki assured every single American and person around the world that there would never be vaccine mandates?
Vaccines be mandatory No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory.
Is that a sign that perhaps the federal government should step in and issue mandates? And if not, are you putting the needs of unvaccinated people ahead of the needs of vaccinated people?
One, that's not the role of the federal government.
And a couple months later, they were working overtime to pass such coercive laws that fortunately the courts have deemed unconstitutional. The establishment has managed to push our individual panic buttons, which is the time-honored traditions of authoritarian states around the world when they plan to exchange alleviating that fear for something that they're going to take from you. Fear is a greater motivational tool and a greater level to exercise over individuals than anything positive that might be offered to them as a reward. And doing so via the quasi-state-controlled media and convincing us to give up our hard-fought-for freedoms will not serve your children or future generations of human beings. We will protect you. We'll make it right. Just acquiesce to us and give up your liberties and hey.
Screw your freedom.
And damn it, if the vaccine works as advertised, if it works as so many people believe it does, what do you have to fear from being around an unvaccinated person? Be happy. You have the cure. You have the magic. Not to mention a study in the medical journal, The Lancet, and the admission recently by the American CDC that states that there is not a significant difference between those who got stuck and those who didn't in terms of the likelihood of transmission. We can choose to continue to keep dividing the human population, allowing the authoritarians to sew identifying gold stars into our clothing or chips directly into our skin to identify those who do not follow proper protocol from a centralized authority. We can keep living in fear and bending over so they can shove something directly up our orifices. Or we can stand up and state emphatically, not only do not take another step forward on our liberties, but drive them 5 steps back from where they began to descend on our freedoms. I know which side I stand on, and I will be pushing back with everything that I have. And I invite all of you to push back with me. And at our victory party, if you think that our God-given freedoms are something that is worth celebrating, all will be invited, including those of you who have chosen to be vaccinated, chosen being the optimal word. And for those of you who say, screw your freedoms, given that millions of people around the world have sacrificed their lives so that future generations such as us might be able to maintain their liberties, their choice, their freedom. That precedent and that sacrifice supersedes the fear that has been ginned up inside of you by the corporate media and democratic establishment. Share this video. Let other people know that there are people out there that are standing up for freedoms, for independent thought. Thumb up this video and subscribe. Hit the all notification bell. Peace.